D2Gs, how you guys doing out there today? Bring you guys another video here, a Stasis Warlock video. This time it's going to be a little bit of a twist, our little hybrid builds here that we're doing lately. You're going to be able to go ahead and be radiant while freezing everyone, and you're going to be able to take care of all of your champions. Every single one of them you're going to be able to go ahead and take care of with this build, okay? This right here, this is a legendary lost sector. You're going to be able to take this build and grandmasters and any hard activity that may have champions in them, okay? You're going to be able to see in this clip how I take down all of the champions here, how I'm able to go ahead and take advantage of all of our abilities, our ice flare bolts. We're going to be able to utilize our turrets to freeze all of the ads and then chain those seekers to go ahead and freeze the next ad, and so on with this build, okay? While, like I said, being radiant as well. So we're going to be using our primary solar weapons instead of using our normal stasis weapons for this build, okay? But nevertheless, you can go ahead and use this build in any activity that you wish for, whether it be a regular strike or a normal raid or whatever it may be that you want to go ahead and use this build. But this build is going to excel in a lot of the harder context, so you're going to be able to go ahead and, you know, if you happen to need to do any legendary lost sectors, you're going to be able to use this build right here. It's going to help you out so that you can get that exotic that you've been chasing, you know, all along, because you weren't able to, or you were unsuccessful in completing any of those legendary lost sectors. You're going to be able to do those lost sectors with this build, okay guys? So please leave a message, please leave a comment down below. Let me know if you like this build, if you've used this build, what you've changed on it, if it helped you out greatly. I really like hearing about all of my guardians out there, if they've used this build or not, okay? Please like and subscribe, as that also helps me out greatly, and it helps me be able to go ahead and push more videos out for you guys, okay? All right, guys, please finish watching the clip, and I'll see you guys over at the build. All right, guys, and for the build, here it is. Take that screenshot and let's keep it pushing. All right, for our abilities, we're using Healing Rift, we are using Balance Glide, we're using Penumbral Blast, we are using Cold Snap Grenade. For our aspects, we're using Bleak Watcher, and we are using Ice Flare Bolts. So now for the small little synergy here, you can use this grenade in two different ways. So you can go ahead and throw the grenade, hit a target, freeze that target, and then thanks to our aspect here, Ice Flare Bolts, it'll create seekers and it'll go to the next ad, freeze them, you shoot that ad that's frozen, that seeker goes to another ad, and so forth and so forth and so forth. Okay, that's the nice little synergy there. Or you can go ahead and consume your grenade, throw out a turret, and that's thanks to the Bleak Watcher. Once you consume your grenade, you throw that turret out and it will start freezing all the ads. And the same effect will also happen here too. So once you go ahead and destroy those ads that have been frozen thanks to your turret, they'll go ahead and seek out other ads. You destroy those ads that have been frozen, and then they'll seek out other ads, and so far, so on and so on and so on, so long as there's ads available. All right, so that's a nice little synergy right there. All right, guys, let's move on for the fragments. So we're using Whisper of Fizzers. So with this fragment, you're gonna go ahead and once you destroy those ads that are frozen, it'll create a nice little blast that'll also help you freeze any of the nearby targets and also give them an extra damage boost. Okay, for the next frag, we're going to go ahead and use Whisper of Torment. So any type of damage that we're intaking will go ahead and give us grenade energy. We're using Whisper of Refraction for our next frag, which means once we destroy those frozen targets, we'll also be getting class ability energy, because you want to be able to have your Rift, you want to be able to have your melee, and of course you want to be able to have your grenade energy. For the last fragment that we're going to be using here is going to be Whisper of Shards, which basically means any crystals that you go ahead and destroy, once you know they're shattered, it'll also help you get that grenade energy as well. And like I said, we want to go ahead and obtain as much capabilities of getting all of our abilities and or recharge a grenade as fast as possible, just because we're going to be using weapons or solar weapons as primary, and we're not going to be using too much our stasis weapons. Okay, now our exotic of choice is going to be our Dawn Chorus, which is going to help us spread that scorch all over the place alongside us using our stasis subclass to freeze everyone. With that being said, we're choosing to pair that up with the Polaris Lance, which this setup build right here is perfect for any hard content, legendary law sectors, Master Law Sectors, or Grandmasters. I made this build primarily for one of our clanmates that was having a little bit of a issue. You know, he couldn't do the Legendary Law Sectors, and now that he used this exact little setup here, he's been doing all the Legendary and all the Masters, and he's obtaining all of those exotics that are behind the Legendary and or Grandmasters Law Sectors or Master Law Sectors. Now, we can go ahead and continue on now with our mods that we're using here. For our helmet is going to be Heavy Ammo Finder, and we're using Siphon mods because we're using solar and stasis weapons, so we want to be able to create orbs of power as much as we can. We are using for gauntlets grenade kickstart, and we are using bolster and detonation. I know this is an artifice gear, but I've used it in a normal gauntlet, and these two are the primary usage that we need for that, and it helped out and it worked actually pretty well as well. For our chest piece, we are using emergency reinforcement, and of course use any other resistance mod that you may be using or need for said activity you're doing. For our boots, we are using solar weapon surge, because once again we are using our solar weapons as our primary, and we are using elemental charge as well as we're using insulation. But now you can always swap out or add the stasis weapon surge depending on the type of setup that you're going to be running here. So if you want to go ahead and use your Aegis Scepter, or if you want to go ahead and use the Cryosthesia, which is a stasis weapon, you want an extra damage boost, then you can go ahead and swap out those surges how you see fit. For our bond, we are using Reaper, we're using Bomber, and we're using Powerful Attraction. Okay, try and get as close as possible to your resilience at 100, and of course your discipline at 100. For our artifact, what we're taking advantage of this time around, since we are on our stasis, is these two stasis artifacts perks. So we're using Pillar of Ice, and we are using Hail the Storm. So once, basically for Hail of Storm, once you go ahead and shatter any one of those stasis crystals, it'll go ahead and just create a little bit more damage to any of the ads in the area. Same goes for Pillar of Ice, that you basically, any of the ads that are encased or basically get frozen, you'll just go ahead and create some stasis crystals. Okay, and then once again we're using our Flint Striker as well as we're using Kindling Trigger, which are basically helping our scorching effect and our solar weapons. Okay, so it's just boosting our helmet that we're using, which is going to be the Dawn Course, that is also once again helping us scorch everybody. It's just going to be giving that burn effect. Now if you do not want to go ahead and use the Polaris Lance, you can always swap that bad boy out with any other weapon. So long as it has incandescent, it's going to go ahead and help you greatly. I primarily use this little setup here for my everyday run-of-the-mill builds, you know, doing strikes, if I'm helping out one of my clanmates or teammates, or just helping anybody else out for any run-of-the-mill activity, or raids. Okay, but if once again, if I'm doing any hard content, Grandmaster, Legendary Law Sector, Master Law Sectors, I'm going with this setup because I'm not going to be going hard on the paint. I'm not going to be going very aggressive. I'm going to be hanging back, and I'm going to be freezing, taking care of every single champion, because this build is going to take care of all of your champions. By freezing them, you freeze every single champion. Doesn't matter who it is, they're going to get frozen. And then you're being radiant once you're using the Polaris Lance by standing at a distance and creating those crit shots, because once you create those crit shots and you become radiant alongside Dragonfly on this weapon, you're going to be exploding everything and anything around in the area. And as well as once they're being frozen, you're going to be exploding those frozen targets and creating that blast of ice, freezing the next person with the ice flare bolts, tracking and seeking the next ad, and then they're freezing, and so forth and so forth. So you see what's happening there. It's lovely. That's what we want. That's what we want to see. But all right, guys, let me know what you think about this build. It's a nice little hybrid build in the comments down below. Please like and subscribe. It really does help me out. I really like reading your guys' comments and answering your guys' comments. It's really a joy bringer for me. And once again, see you guys on the next video. Peace.